What I've got for you today is a best of 7 series of high-level StarCraft 2. It's time for a Zerg versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on a Last Fantasy. Now, spotting right here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Yeah, it's more like since this is a 3-player map, it's actually not the bottom right, it's more like the right side of the map. We have a 2-time world champion of StarCraft. I believe it was like 2013, 2015. It's been a very long time. We're playing right here with the red Protoss pieces. We have none other than SOS. He's playing under a barcode nickname in this particular series, but this man has been playing some very fun StarCraft lately. And, well, let's be honest, some very cheesy and dirty build orders. His opponent, somebody who also played more than a decade ago. I looked it up. The first time that these two ever played against each other was back in 2014 with the Blue Zerg drones. We're looking at DRG's main hatchery. Now, back then, DRG went by the username of Dongregu. I haven't really seen him play all too much lately, but he certainly has been playing a bit more over the last 5 years than SOS has. So SOS is somebody who sort of fades away every once in a while, and everybody's like, oh, SOS, is he still playing? We don't really know. But then he comes back again, and he qualifies for the most prestigious tournaments, and it's very clear that he still has it. The only problem that I've noticed in SOS's gameplay, and this is a quote-unquote only problem, is sometimes his macro is just a little bit slippy. He doesn't have the cleanest execution, he doesn't have the crispest control, and one of the problems you run into when you play against the very best in the world right now is they never really take breaks. Maybe that's unhealthy, I don't know, but if you look at Clem, he's been playing everything for many, many years, and, well, his strategic variety and just the cleanliness of his gameplay is just very, very precise, and taking games off of the cream of the crop is going to be very hard. I'm not exactly sure where DRG is currently at. I'm not exactly sure how much he's been playing, but usually he does play quite a bit. I wouldn't really consider DRG to be like the absolute best of the best. If you compare it to, for example, Serral, it's just not quite as clean, but he certainly is not afraid to mix it up. And while Serral can be quite predictable, DRG, not necessarily so. So this is a best of 7 between two very tricky players. And apparently we're starting off with a Baneling nest. DRG is starting off this series with a Baneling bust. He's got a bunch of Zerglings going all the way around. It will be an Oracle first for SOS. I mean, Oracle first is fine, but yeah, he's just got a whole lot of links. The problem is there's a very good shot that this Oracle is going to go straight across the map. If DRG can attack right when the 3rd Nexus gets planted down, which is usually in about a half minute from now, he is going to be able to, well, walk all over his opponent's economy with ease. Those Adepts, yep, they're likely to go over to the 3rd base together with a probe. A couple Zerglings are pretending that at the very least everything is normal. He decides to back up and go for a gateway. I'm not exactly sure if he's seen anything. No, I think he's still going to commit. Banelings are already morphing in, by the way. They're already waddling in. Oracle is now just on the other side of the map. And while this isn't an impossible attack to hold, it does become very tricky. Now, the positioning here of these Protoss units is actually very good. I love this. He's walled himself back in a second time around. Yeah, I mean, this is still going to be a lot of losses, but keep in mind that this is also incredibly committed for DRG. Second Oracle is available. He's already used the energy recharge to get some additional juice on the first Oracle, so we can continuously use the Pulsar Beam. DRG should have never let that re-walling happen. Yep, he's actually fine. Even though he didn't see this coming in until the Banelings were already in his natural. Very solid crisis management right here by the South Korean Protoss. I mean, he's not out of the waters just yet, though. Energy recharge is available again. We should certainly go ahead and use it. I love the Sentry. Maybe use it on the Sentry instead, so you can, well, put up a little force field here. DRG has been droning again on the back of this, though. Yep, Spore Crawlers coming up as well at home. It makes a lot of sense. Now, this is a best of 7 from the Supers 7. Basically a invitation-only show match series. And the last few times that we've seen players play in this particular event, they were also playing very, very aggressive StarCraft. It kind of makes sense when you're playing a best of 7 for, I think it's a few $100s. You just kind of play the games a little bit quicker. But I've become a big fan of this tournament series as of late, just because they are playing very cheesy StarCraft, and they go for strategies that are quite common on the ladder, but generally not played that often at the highest level. Look at this, a shield battery being used to try and repair that cyber core, and it is indeed not going to go down. SOS hasn't lost his oracles. These oracles, I mean, they're gonna have a tough time fighting spores. Spore crawlers hit like trucks these days, but you know what? What better way than to counter a 2-base Zerg all-in Baneling bust than with a quick fleet beacon and a second Stargate? I think DRG is going into... Well, I mean, he's just trying to make a lair. Like, he's just trying to survive right now. I think SOS is trying to make a transition towards quick Tempests. I'm not exactly sure how it plays out for the Zerg if it's hatchery tech versus, well, tier 3 Skytos. But I can imagine it's not going to be easy. You absolutely need a Spire against this sort of thing. Already he's been softening up the queens. If you don't have a Spire down, look at this. Tectonic destabilizers. That is double damage for Tempest against structures. This is SOS fighting fire with fire. I think he's just going to try and point his Tempest guns onto the hatchery and kill everything. It takes 5 Tempest shots to one-shot a queen. Obviously, queens can't transfuse one another. I think you actually wait, dude. I don't think you show it. This is a bit funky. I don't like this. The fact that he's showing a single Tempest feels a bit early to me. But I guess he wants to start hunting. This is very funky, man. Considering they started off with a Baneling bust, to have a pre-7-minute Tempest is kind of wild. Do we keep making them? I think we do, right? Yeah, he starts up another one too. I wouldn't mind seeing him go up to 5. I think 5 makes a lot of sense, so you can just pop all of those queens down. In the meantime, those oracles, they've garnered a little bit of energy once more. Gonna try and use those laser beams to kill the hatch. And I think they're just barely gonna have enough. Yep. Nicely done. Tempest has finally arrived on the other side of the map after a celebratory Overlord kill. Tectonic Destabilizers is not done yet, but you'll see the ball of energy change color. He's hunting drones. When's the last time you've seen a Tempest being used for worker harass? Third hatchery restarts again for DRG. Okay, one Tempest using the absolute slowest attack in the world to try and push away a bunch of Zerglings. Yeah, GG. It makes a lot of sense. There's no way you're going to be able to stay alive, especially since there's just no Spire. Already, actually, SOS for preparing Void Race. So he was assuming that maybe there would be a Spire finishing up sometime soon, but that's not going to happen. Fantastic way to start a series of StarCraft 2. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Leylines. This was, by the way, the most conventional start that I've ever seen SOS play in 2025. Considering he went triple Oracle and then decided to make a transition, like he was provoked, right? I mean, he switched to something weird, but that wasn't the original plan. It seemed to me that SOS just wanted to go for a good old, well, Oracle probably into Twilight Council strat with a quick third Nexus. I fast-forwarded through the first couple minutes of this particular game. Nothing all too weird, other than maybe SOS being a bit of a prick. He's still being a bit of a prick with the Pylon block here on the low ground. Shouldn't really matter too much at this level of StarCraft, but it is certainly a little bit annoying. Okay, so, once more. Stargate coming up. So he played that exact same Tempest build, by the way. Although, obviously, now a bit delayed. Okay, he did that exact same thing in the GSO Code S against Raynor. And I believe he did it actually against Raynor on this particular map. When he did that Tempest follow-up, he started it off with a Void Ray. I wonder if that's what we're gonna get over here again too. So what he did is go for the Tempest, or sorry, go for the Void Ray first, put down a Fleet Beacon, second Stargate, build up a bunch of Tempests. And this is basically your free pass straight towards tier 3 units. You can skip the early game for the most part. You can skip the mid game for the most part. You just go straight Skytles. There we go again. 3 minutes and 40 seconds on the Fleet Beacon. You start up your first Tempest at like 4.5 minutes with this particular build. Zerg needs to go into a Spire against this sort of thing. If you don't go Spire, the Queens obviously just get picked off by the Tempests. Hydras are technically an anti-air unit, but not really a viable choice. Really, your only reasonable response as Zerg is to go into Corruptors, at the very least, when it comes to the current meta. A lot of Zerg players hate playing against that style. Then again, at the highest level... Oh, they attacked the hatchery for a little bit. A lot of Zerg players hate playing against Skytles, but at the highest level, I feel like Skytles is actually not even that great. Mostly just because if you look at the top-level Zergs, they just seem to dismantle it over time. With very good Viper control, very good spellcaster movement in general. But right below the absolute cream of the crop, and for like everybody on the ladder, they all hate playing against Skytles. So let's see. Let's see. Tectonic destabilizers again. Double Tempest production again. We're at the 5-minute mark now. First Tempest just about to pop out. Now, there are a few telltale times... a couple of telltale signs. There you go. For the Zerg player that... Okay, well, that's one way, I guess, of seeing it, right? You see the Tempest going across. That's pretty clear. There are a couple of signs, though. Like, for example, the lack of a third. Normal timing of the third is 345 to 350. This one is obviously much later now because, well, all of this was made. Already, though, the Tempest are going across. What exactly do you do here as DRG? Man, I am getting flashbacks to that series that SOS played against Raynor in the GSL. Like, this is played after that GSL match. But this all looks very, very similar. So the idea is that the queens over here sacrifice themselves. Yeah. A good queen would sacrifice herself for her brood, I suppose. And the idea is that you basically just buy time, giving up the queen's life to get the Spire out. Now, I really dislike this Spire positioning. If SOS sees it, he can just right-click the Spire after getting rid of the queens. We are going up to 5 Tempest here, so enough for one shot. Oh my god. So sad being a queen. Yes, queen. Brenda would die for her brood, though. And that, I think, is beautiful. So this is a really beautiful strat, honestly, for Protoss. I highly recommend playing this if you like antagonizing your Zerg friends. It's extremely powerful because there's not really any weaknesses. Zergs don't really do an all-in against 2-base Protoss very much. I mean, I guess in the previous game we had a Bingling bust, but not super popular above, like, maybe like Gold League or so. I feel like it's something that falls off pretty early on the ladder. Like, for the majority of the players, Bingling bust is not really the main concern. But this is the type of build that you can sort of do against Zerg every single time, and you're gonna be okay. Honestly, you should just target the hatch or TP home. Look at this. Is he gonna kill the hatch? Oh my god, he's gonna kill the hatch. Kill the hatch, TP home. I think you recall, dude. Don't go too greedy. It's so tempting to be greedy here. Okay, Corruptors are out. Oh my god. Please recall, bro. Why are we so late on the recall? SOS did that last time around too. Where he's like, well, what if there's only 3 Corruptors? Why would there only be 3 Corruptors, SOS? Think about it. That's all you've seen from the Zerg. You've just seen queens. You know there's gonna be like a dozen. But what if we supply block? There's a chance that we... It's just... I don't love it. He did target a couple OVs, so maybe that was the idea. Anyways, after 5 Tempests, he goes into Void Rays. Void Rays deal bonus damage against armored units. Guess what? Corruptors are armored units. It's a beautiful build. If you like dirty things, this build order is beautiful. If you feel like, cheese, I wish I could eat it all day, this build order is for you. Everybody loves cheese. He's waiting with the prismatic alignment. He's hoping the Corruptors are gonna overextend. One obvious addition here, as you look at the macro for Protoss, look at the amount of resource in the bank. It's a lot of money. Look at him. He's not macroing. Ah, okay. Finally, we have another warp in. I don't know, dude. I feel like this is all a little overly ambitious. This attack over here, this follow-up, he did a similar thing against Raynor 2. It didn't really work out then, too. Or either. I think you should go Mothership and just chill on 4 bases. When you have 4 bases as Protoss, you can put in a lot of work. But what about a Stalker follow-up? And the Stalker follow-up is also pretty nasty because you've just forced out Mass Corruptor from your opponent. Zergs generally don't go Hydras and Corruptors, at least not at this stage in the game. So if you show up with a bunch of Tempest, if you show up with a bunch of Void Rays, what are they gonna do? Well, make Queens and then a whole lot of Corruptors. Corruptors can't shoot down, so you get these multiple layers of Protoss shenanigans, and it's kind of awesome. This last phase is definitely a little bit more complex, though, than every part that came before this. And I do believe that SOS is overcommitting. Like, diving that deep onto creep. Yeah. If you do this build on the ladder, I can almost guarantee you that half the Zerg players will not have a 4th base up like this. And you'll just find yourself miles ahead. SOS has once more cooked up a very, very nasty Protoss strategy. And this is what he's known for. This is what he did in the early days of StarCraft 2. This is how he won his world championships. He can cook up nastier Protoss threats than anybody else out there. And apparently the next step is a Dark Shrine. Now, that one could have been planted down way earlier. So I think this is where we go into the free flow. But these first 10 minutes, they've been kind of beautiful. Recall on the Stalkers, because the Corruptors are puking over his Nexus. They decide to commit and double down to the puke. Oh, where are we going, Corruptors? Okay. Some sacrificial units. Fair enough. I don't know how long SOS has been playing the game again for. There's a good chance that with this build, on the ladder at least, he's won 90% of his games already. So he just doesn't really have a prepared follow-up yet. If he's been playing again for a couple months, there's a very good shot that from here on out, we're kind of just freestyling and we're hoping for the best. We take our hands off the wheel and hope Tassadar takes over. But it's... yeah, it's a really nice... like, if you struggle in Protoss versus Zerg, I feel like this is the strategy to... well, to really study. You can copy this pretty much... yeah, to a T for the first 10 minutes. And I think below Grandmaster League, essentially every game should probably be over by the 10-minute mark anyways. At least when you play this, well, very aggressive, let's call it dedicated pressure strategy. Okay. It honestly is kind of beautiful, though. Dark Templar, going in. Void Ray, 2 base, into 2 base Tempest, into a 3rd Nexus, into 5 Tempest, Void Ray follow-up, quick blink Stalkers after forcing out a round of Corruptors like that. It is kind of awesome. Maybe that's also why he was so overly aggressive with those units. Well, now the Dark Templar have hit. They've come in later than they could have. Obviously, the Spore Crawlers have been killed a while ago. At least a lot of them have. He's killed another hatchery over here in the middle of the map. I think this is a really cool strat here from SOS, but he's also getting out macroed a little bit here. Soon, DRG will arrive at his maxed out state, right? So we will go into that very, very powerful late game anti-ground army here for the Zerg. And Stalkers are gonna fall off. What's a little bit odd about the follow-up here for SOS is that he's going into a mothership now and he's trying to go into Storm and all that, but he also built an additional robo facility. I don't know if he should do this. I feel like he should just double down playing Skytoss and not transition towards Immortals. Like, Immortals are a good idea. Archons are a good idea, especially here, but I feel like a lot of those things are situational. If you see your opponent is going Ultras, then Immortals is a great choice. Otherwise, just go into more Skytoss, build a mothership, and cruise at like 200 supply worth of, well, expensive units. With 8 gas geysers, you can easily afford it. It does mean, though, that Zerg gets to do whatever they like for a couple minutes. But despite all of the pressure, DRG does arrive at Lurker Tech here eventually. Keep in mind, he's already got a Spire. I would have loved to see the +1 attack. Followed up here with a +2 attack. I think that would have been a really good choice. Either way, DRG has held on to all of the different layers of Protoss cheese. Let's see where we go from here. It is a glorious build. I really like this thread. I'm hoping we're going to see it some more throughout the series. But how is he going to deal with this, though? We could have had so many carriers and Tempest out at this point. The mothership could easily be here too. Where is the mothership? Okay, some good storms. Zealot run by in the meantime on the other side of the map, but lurkers have been set up. Corruptors are puking on a base again. Mama! Oh, okay. Mama's out for lunch. Alright, Mama's going across the map to recall the rest of the army. I find it ambitious, because there's not gonna be a rest of the army if Mama goes across. Zealots have been cleaned up very well here as well by DRG. And I wouldn't be surprised, actually, looking at this a little bit more, if DRG has been the victim of this exact early game from SOS a bunch of times already. Because he honestly did have a plan for every step of the way. He wasn't really caught off guard against anything too badly. I also wonder if maybe SOS should wait until he's got 3 Tempests out before he commits to showing them. Anyways, lurkers continue fighting here. Another storm, but that one doesn't hit a whole lot. DRG's economy is slightly better here than SOS's. What he really wants, though, is this 4th Nexus. If he can shut down the Nexus, at 15 minutes, the main and the natural of SOS are going to run low. Yep, and he's trying to push some more units within range. That's a nice storm. Man, if the mothership was here right from the start of this fight, I think it would have been much more manageable. Those overseers were also far forward. He could have sniped them, and then the mothership could have activated Cloak. He would have been able to buy himself a lot more time. Ultimately, the Nexus now does fall, and that is going to make DRG very, very happy. Finally, we have a reaction to that base being under attack as well, but that should have happened a while ago already. 2,200, 2,300 resources in the bank is a lot. Little Zealot run by again. At least the lurkers are no longer in position in this spot, but DRG has left a bunch of troops behind. There are no observers available, by the way, here. For SOS. Like, he's making one right now, and he's also going into an Oracle. But he needs to be able to actually see the lurkers. If you can't see the lurkers, you can't really do a whole lot. Yeah, his macro is slipping hard. I really think he should just go into Skytles from here. Like, you tech up all the way to tier 3. Like, the highest level you can arrive at in StarCraft 2. You go for the ultimate units. And then we go into, like, a tier 2 mid-game army. I don't think that's the ideal follow-up. I might be mistaken, but I really feel like we could have gotten a lot more value. A Time Warp or 2 would be super useful. It's available. We can just use it. Time Warp does work on lurkers. It reduces movement speed, but also attack speed by 50%. Hey, he's just not used to it a single time. At least not that I noticed. Maybe he did use it. But he didn't use it just now in this particular engagement. The rest of the Protoss army now is moving up north as well. That, of course, means that this army down south can move a little bit further forward as well. Lurkers are going to be now within range of the 3rd Nexus. Some decent storms, but these units are quite beefy. Yeah, and as long as the Nexus dies, I don't think DRG really cares about the cost. Zealots over here, though, have put in a lot of work. 13 drones. It's not like Zerg is super rich. He's actually forced to now remake some of those workers, but he does kill up the 3rd Nexus here, and I think that all is still a-okay here for DRG. Nice game by DRG. I don't know if he wants to overcommit. There's a Tempest being made again, by the way, which is kind of funny. I don't mind it. But obviously, Corruptors are already a weapon of choice here anyways. DRG doesn't really need to, like, worry too much. Even though Hydras are not the best anti-air unit that Zerg has access to, obviously they can shoot up. So as long as he can, at some point, produce a bunch of Corruptors, he'll be okay. I wouldn't mind, though, if he made, like, 10 Corruptors here at all. I think it'd be a good addition to his army. Main concern is if there are going to be a lot of Skytles units now, he can actually get overwhelmed. Storm can make it difficult for this army to get close. Okay. SOS going in for a big attack. In the meantime, though, DRG going in for a counter-attack as well. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on this Protoss player. He can easily fight this, though. Yeah, he can easily fight that with the army. In the meantime, what do you do against this? Do you recall? Do you go back home? Or do you try and trade out an expansion? Well, at this point, an expansion for an expansion is heavily favored for DRG, because he's got more of them. 29 probes end up going down. Nexus in the top left also scouted. This base, though, has been successfully denied for a while now. And you know what? It's not like DRG is particularly rich. He just has a lot more stuff. And ultimately, stuff is what you need. His army is just bigger. I mean, it doesn't really tell you the full picture here, because he's got 67 supply caught up in... Ah, that's where they are. Caught up in workers. I wouldn't have minded him making another hatchery over here, though. You know what? SOS might be able to squeeze out a victory here. It's actually doable. DRG's economy is down to gutter. Now, he needs to keep pressure on this base. Those drones need to immediately go back down to the low ground and mine those juicy mineral fields. Because he doesn't have a lot of income at this point. SOS has basically no income, though. And this is still an army that can beat that of the Zerg. Okay. That lunge ability was nice and all, but the Tempests are eating, well, a bunch of lurkers for free. Drones are finally returning. I think he's forgotten. Has he not realized that there are 33 drones in a gas geyser? To be fair, that may have been a misclick. Oh no, that could be a gigantic blunder if he doesn't realize he's got so much economy. Quite literally half of his workers are trying to harvest gas. SOS still marching. He still doesn't have a detector here. I mean, he's got an Oracle, but that's it. Oracle has come back home. Probably tried to get the recall or the recharge. Oh my god. Did he just... Alright. Well, that's one way, I guess, to... Observer shows up, too. Fair enough. We need something to be able to see those units. If SOS kills this base, which he will, and he finishes his own fourth Nexus at the bottom of the map, which is, well, about a minute away, he might actually be able to win this. He's been behind in his supply count for a very long time, but his army, yeah, has now overtaken that of the opponent. And keep in mind, this is a proper army. This is mostly like it's a good army for DRG. I would consider this like an early late game army. This isn't like a late game army here for SOS either, but it is certainly something that packs a punch, and there's just not an easy way here for the Zerg to deal with those Tempests. Does he have Neural Parasite? He does not. No Neurals. Man, this series is delivering so far. No Neurals means that he doesn't have an easy way to, like, take over those Tempests. He can't really afford a big, well, group of Corruptors. He decides to go in for the counterattack. Now, the Nexus at the bottom of the map did finish up. He could recall. I wouldn't even mind a recall. It's a crazy recall, though, but no. He decides to double down. You have to be real quick. He decides to double down and go in for the aggression instead. At least, oh, at least the drones have woken up now that the gas geyser is out of money. We end this with a base race? There is no way we end this with a base race. The win condition in a game of StarCraft 2 is to destroy your opponent's structures. Armies do not matter. Rarely do the games actually come down to that point. But if you can destroy your opponent's army, that is all you really, you truly need to do. Can we do a... No, he doesn't have the energy recharge ability available. Generally, Zergs are favored in a base race scenario because they can just build stuff all over the map. Protoss needs a lot of power fields and all that. Neither player, though, has a lot of money to work with. The structure step is already shrinking. Oh my god, he's recalling. He's recalling. He's recalling. Here we go. Does he have any storms in his army? He certainly does. Couple of nice fungal growths here as well, I suppose. But the cloaking field is looking really powerful. I think he targeted down the Overseer. Yeah, he's targeting down the Overseer for a little bit. Wait a second. He did not quite finish the job. That Overseer was easy target, but... Okay, finally it goes down. With it. Wow. This game had like an 80 supply lead for DRG earlier on. The fact that SOS... The fact that SOS actually hung in there and figured out a solution shows you why he is considered to be one of the best Protoss players historically. Because this man is not going down without a fight. That was an insane game. That was one of the best games of StarCraft 2 that I've seen in 2025 so far. I honestly thought SOS was already dead. Like, I was already talking about how he should have changed up his build order a little bit to maybe, well, get himself into a slightly better position. But he certainly did not believe that he was out of the game yet. And that's gotta be a tilter for DRG. There's a lot of things DRG could have done differently. He could have made extra Corruptors when he first saw the Tempest production resume again. He could have made an extra hatchery, so those 33 drones in the gas geyser weren't effectively on idle. I just think he didn't know that he had those extra drones. He must have, well, sent them away when the Zealot run-by came in or whatever, and he just forgot. Obviously, when you move around really quickly, and this is one of the downsides of being a fast player, you spend very little time looking at your structures. Like, we spend a lot of time looking at this base, right? But players will not be able to really spend a lot of attention looking at a gas geyser. It's one of those things that you just have to sort of spot from the corner of your eye. But man, what a game from SOS. I can't believe we won that. In the most SOS-like way too, man. I've missed this style. I really have. It's a lot of fun to watch like the mech spexes of the world and the heroes of this world. But this is like hero turned up to 11. Extremely messy. Very wild and theoretically maybe not ideal. But you can tell that these Zerg players are not enjoying this at all. He also did the same thing against Cure with like the proxy immortal juggling. Remember the proxy immortal war prism strat that he brought out in the GSL? Just such an insane strat as well for modern StarCraft. Proxy immortal all-ins are not commonly played. But hey, he took a game off of one of the very best Terran versus Protoss players in the world. So who am I to judge? Alright, Twilight Council on the back of this. This was an Oracle into a Void Ray. Oracle into Void Ray is not my favorite build. I think it's relatively weak. But if you are in DRG, like say this is a best of one, right? I would criticize this as a relatively weak play. I just don't think it achieves anything. But if you are right now in DRG's shoes, where do you think this is going? And this is why playing a series is so important. A one-off best of one is nice and all. But if you are DRG right now, the sky is the limit, man, as far as the Protoss options go. Okay, this Adept harassment has not been super efficient. And it's actually just going to be good old Blink. Forge is a little late. I don't know why the Forge is late. Stasis Ward has been microed against quite nicely. Yeah, this is ultimately the most conventional game so far that SOS has played. Maybe this is what he wanted to do in the first match of the series, but then he was provoked and had to go for that Tempest all-in. We'll see. A Robo Facility on the back of this too. We should start up the upgrade immediately. We do. Wouldn't mind some chrono boosting, because we have a lot of energy on these Nexi. Always nice to get a little bit of chronoing in. Either way, the rule of one gas has been accomplished here for DRG. He's, well, built drones on 3 bases as well as a 4th hatch before adding on any additional gas geyser after the first one. It's actually one of the best styles you can go for if you're struggling with Zerg. The rule of one gas basically says that you need to get up to about 60 workers before you add on any more gas than 1. Everything else before that point should go to Zerglings, Queens, drones, the whole shebang. But no more additional gas. Anyway. Stalkers are getting surrounded here with ease. Yeah, decides to recall some of them. This is... oh god, Blink just finished up, but all very messy. I don't like this. I don't like this at all for SOS. He's going Robo Bay right now. But the Stalker pressure that is normally ongoing at this point in time has been completely nullified. Yeah, and DRG is agreeing with the current state of the game. He's thinking, yo, I'm so far ahead. This game feels pretty comfy right now. I'm gonna load up the Queens inside of a little private jet. And we're going flying. I think that's the plan anyways. Can we go? Hello? Brenda! You don't need a suitcase. It's a one-way trip. Maybe we shouldn't tell her it's a one-way trip. Oh my god. Dude, can this be any slower? He's waiting for more. No, I think he's just waiting. He's doing it on purpose. Oh, what? Dang! Alright. Maybe they were pulling straws there to try to figure out who got to stay home. Lucky Queen. I mean, you can blink after this. That's nice and all, but that's a hell of a lot more Zerg than that is Stalkers. Zerglings in the meantime already trying to break this open. DRG is going to put up a little bit of creep in the highway, maybe? Where are we going? Why did we drop off one queen? All right. Creep Tumors here can actually block himself. Yeah, I think he needs to open up that front door first. This game, this game was not particularly great by SOS. DRG obtains the victory with ease. You know what? Despite the fact that SOS is leading this series now, I still do not feel particularly confident in his chances to win this. Because if that's what a quote-unquote normal game looks like, he's gonna just get overrun by the Zerg. He needs to keep playing these weird strategies because I just don't believe he's gonna be able to win in a match like the one that he just tried to play. It's not that like one thing went wrong there for Protoss, it's a lot of things that went wrong. But it's a lot of like little macro mistakes too, like for example the timing on the forge and lots of little things that could have been a lot more refined. If you want to watch Protoss play that type of style really well, you should have a look at MaxPax. MaxPax is incredibly good when it comes to playing that super straightforward approach. Pretty much unbeatable, honestly. He rarely loses in PvZ, it seems, these days, but yeah. You can tell here that if the beginning is off, then every follow-up is also bad. Like you can kind of view the Adept and the Oracle harassment early on as like the foundation of that game. And if the foundation is not good, everything else just becomes very shaky too. So, we're going into a Void Ray first again. That's a nice confidence boost though for DRG. That's the type of game where you're as a Zerg player like, come on man, that's the best you can do? Like really? That's what a normal game looks up? Okay buddy, let's go. Let's fight. Those first couple games were frustrating. Hey, look at that. SOS is the first Korean Protoss player that I have seen use the Pylon indicator. Very nice. Map makers have been meticulous. Oh. Alright, it's a fleet beacon. Second Stargate, Mass Tempest. Map makers have been meticulously putting these locations onto their maps to indicate where the first pylon should go. And most of the Protoss players completely ignore it. And he still is using this. Okay, well, he's still walling with a pylon. Oh, God. I don't know where Hero and SOS went to school, but whoever taught them Protoss wall-offs, they should be fired. It's performative art, is what it is. We could make the perfect wall, but we could also not make the perfect wall. How about that? Okay, I think SOS... Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe he should wait until he's got 3 Tempest out before sending out any of them. He must have tested it, and it must not be the case. But in my mind, it's better to save up to 3 so you can suddenly whip out 5. And then when you suddenly whip out 5 Tempest, you can just pick off the queens and the hatcheries right away. If Zerg has to prepare a Spire at that point, it's really tough. Overseer Scout can come in pretty soon. This is a relatively fast lair for DRG. I think he should wait. Okay, now he sends them out immediately again. I'm probably wrong. Maybe. Possible. I could be wrong. I mean, at this point as DRG, I think you should just prep a Spire. Because, like, what is it going to be if it's a 2-base opener from this Protoss? Yeah, we're just going to pick off workers. Well, look at what happens, though. First Tempest shows up. Immediately, we have a massive round of drones on the production tab and a Spire. DRG knows that the only thing that's going to happen now for Zerg is to defend against the Tempest. Everything else is irrelevant. You can just sort of start saving up gas so you can make Corruptors. But that's it, right? Like, we can just kind of chill here. I don't think the 3 drones justify this, because Zerg immediately powered up to 69, which I think is pretty nice. I think you save up until 3 and then go. Anyway, we're going up to 4, and then up to 5. And then after that, I guess, once more into that Void Ray production. Zerg has to go Corruptors. There is no alternative choice. Technically, maybe you could go Vipers or something, but that's way too late. So you have to go into Corruptors here. At which point you can follow it up with a Blink Stalker all-in. I think that's once more what we're going for. He hasn't yet started Void Ray production, though, and he's got plenty of cash in the bank. Look at the amount of resources that SOS is saving up. Yeah, we're super duper late on these 2 Void Rays. I don't know why. I'm actually surprised with how late all of this is. The shots are also very much so out of sync. Okay, kill the lair, get out. Kill the lair, get out. Kill the lair, TP home. Kill the lair, TP home. Kill the lair, TP home. Go. Please TP home. We did this in the previous game. Please, like, you're not gonna kill the temp or the corruptors. You're gonna kill 1 corruptor and then lose 2 tempests. Okay, well, you lost 1 tempest. Did get a spawning pool for his troubles. At least that's better than nothing. Now we're going +1. Really? Oh, he's doing a different follow-up. So we're going +1 air together with charge and +1 over here, and then also a lot of gateways and then a Templar archives. So maybe this is SOS transitioning into a full Skytles follow-up. Maybe the Zealots are just going to be there as like a mineral dump, because gas is usually your main bottleneck. I kind of like the Stalker follow-up initially, though. Yeah, DRG is also not going Mass Corruptor this time around. I like the additional Photon Cannon here. It's kind of fun. Try and deny these exact follow-ups. Well, Void Rays are going to have a grand old time. Stalker's also helping out. Hello. Are we going to fight this? Are we doing this on purpose? Yeah, I guess so. Okay, I didn't think this was going to go too well for DRG, but he's actually getting a lot of value. And this also must give him all the information that he truly needs. That this is not going to be a Stalker all-in follow-up. Yeah, so he is also transitioning towards Mass Roach. That was actually a very nice push, though, from DRG. I didn't think that was going to work out nearly as well as it did. But those Corruptors certainly got some value. And as strange as it sounds, if you compare the resources lost at this point, this is totally fine for DRG. I don't hate this position for him at all. Protoss is gonna have a tough time taking a 4th. Zerg already has 4 bases. He can do whatever he likes. No, I mean, I assumed he would have restarted this one a little bit sooner, but fair enough. So he could go into a Hive much quicker. He can go into a Lurker then much faster. Maybe he's a bit concerned for like a Zealot all-in on the back of this, or a Stalker push or something along those lines, but I highly doubt it. Okay. Then again, in the previous game where they were in a very similar situation, DRG was at some point leading the game massively, and then SOS still managed to turn it around in the most SOS-like way. One of my favorite things to look at during SOS games is the average APM. Sorry, I can't help but giggle. I'm not saying 236 APM is low, but for the pro level, it certainly is. Obviously, though, from 550 average actions a minute right here for DRG, a lot of that is wasted actions. A lot of it is inflated, too. So you gotta take the numbers with a grain of salt. Efficiency obviously beats spamming pretty much every single time, but you rarely see anybody sit at 250 APM these days. Like 350 is kind of the bare minimum, which I know is really fast. Don't get me wrong, but most pro gamers are just 100, 150 APM quicker than 250. It's still quick. Like, whenever I talk about this, man, I always get people in the comment section are like, Loco, it's all spam anyway. Like, there's people that get very offended by that. It's just the numbers, man, the statistics. Like, you can nerf a statistic if you like. We've done that in the past, but the statistics just state that the vast majority of pro gamers are faster than 250 APM. Actually, every single one of them is. Sorry, I had to get that out of my system, because every time I talk about this, there's always somebody that gets upset in the comment section at me. Well, look at you try and hit 300 APM. Okay, I can do it. Oh, no, sorry. We didn't have to turn this into a flex. All right, there we go. Lurkerding coming up. Mothership coming up. He is hunting down a bunch of roaches again. We're going into the Skytles production a little quicker. DRG has a gajillion resources in the bank. Not maxing out yet. He's very low on gas. I've been a bit critical of SOS's macro so far throughout these games, mostly just because his strats are a bit funky and I'm looking at him quite a bit, but this hasn't by any stretch been the cleanest set of games from DRG either, though. The rule of one gas is nice, but he's been a bit slow on the back of the additional gases. He can go for a ton of static defense. That's nice. Healing circle over here in the middle of the map, also pretty strong. Yeah, and I don't think you can really fight this with this Zerg army right now. He's gonna try, but I don't think he can. Oh, walked into the corrosive biles. Bunch of units ready for the run by. Zealots and roaches, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. These roaches, though, are mostly just a supply bloat at this point, so DRG needs to get rid of them. Yeah, you kind of want to get rid of them, though, by not just killing a single photon cannon. Well, I think that's all he's going to get. Yeah. Don't know why we're not attack moving anywhere. Okay. We all army hotkeyed them instead. Sick. All right, Zealots going across the map. They have now waited for their opportunity to strike. So this is a bit different. Like, the Zealots are a mineral dump. With Protoss, you generally run out of gas first. Likewise for Zerg as well, but Zergling run-bys is not really something you're gonna do unless you get up to, like, max upgraded links. So a bunch more Zealots as well on the right side, and now we'll see that there's indeed a ton of Spine Crawlers waiting. The main question is, though, how do these armies clash? The run-bys are nice and all, but what about the main fight? Well, Tempests are once more having a grand old time. They could certainly kill this hatch if they tried. He decides to play it carefully, though, but I wonder if he could have jumped in. Second Spire coming up for DRG. I would love to see him continuously upgrade the first one, but he's very low on gas. Baneling Nest, I don't agree with, if I'm being honest. Baneling Nest, it feels like... it's a good idea later on, maybe, but this game first needs to go to distance. May as well put it down, though, I guess. But if he plans on making Baneling sometime soon, I think he's going to be in some trouble. Yeah. SOS hoping that the Zerg army goes off creep. If he goes off creep, life's going to be amazing. Greater Spire coming up. Okay. SOS has basically parked his army in the middle of the map, threateningly on the other side, right? He's just kind of parked it here, hoping for the best. And DRG has finally picked up on the fact that exactly that is going on. Now, how are you going to break this with Zerglings? Oh, that storm. That was hot. Instant promotion for that Templar. What do you think High Templar like? We need to get him a little gift. Well, I guess he's high. We can guess. Anyways, celebratory High Templar moment there. He killed everything. Lurker Den coming up for DRG. Do you think if you merge an Archon, do you think that's a promotion or a punishment? Oh, here we go. A little bit of fishing. Like, becoming an Archon is probably a great honor in Protoss society, but I mean, what if you become an Archon with somebody who can only ever talk about football? Ugh. Some nice storms over here. Lurkers trying their best. Revelations, though, are being used properly. Okay, Storm to try and keep that Protoss army in the front. Tempest having a good time. Man, I feel like we need more Tempest. With the way that he's zoning here. Oh, we can hang out over here. Go, little High Templar. You get like 5 more HP. Okay, instead we take the risky way around. I laugh in the face of danger. I don't even know what unit that is. It's in Warcraft 3 though, somewhere. Those High Templar were not scared of a couple of spines coming out of the ground. Lurker Den on the far right. Neural Parasite coming up for DRG. Okay. So, this is effectively now a near split map scenario for both players where they get to do whatever they please. This is the type of strategy that Cyril is extremely good at with Zerg. But he also is struggling more against this type of style as of late. I like this position for Protoss way better. But also, I personally have struggled. Oh my god, those storms are huge. I've struggled against this type of army for Zerg. Or as Zerg, rather, against Protoss. For about a decade. I'm not even joking. Like, that is about how long it's been. I have never been able to confidently beat Skytoss with Zerg. It's extremely tough. And so far, SOS is managing all of this very, very nicely. The storms have been monstrous, and the zoning here, using the Oracle and then also the Tempests, has been phenomenal. Dark Shrine coming up. And he's just slowly dismantling this Zerg. Like, it's not that he's jumping deep. He's just skirting around the edges of the creep. And just picking off whatever he can. And if you look at the resource count right now, DRG, I mean, he's got a maxed out army. But he needs to fight this Protoss force, and this is apparently the moment he's going to try and do exactly that. Time Warp gets planted down. Oh my god, those storms are brutal. The mothership itself is actually putting in a lot of work. Yeah, 10 kills. I was going to say, I feel like those lasers of the mothership have been flying around for a while already. She herself has got 10 confirmed kills. And now, finally, nearly 20 minutes into the game is when the carrier production kicks in. Carriers have been the forgotten unit of 2025 so far. Very niche, but very strong in the right position, and I feel like this is indeed one of those spots. Good abduction there by the Zerg. But this is feeling to me like a Zerg player who's just bleeding out. Like, he's digging deeper, but I think ultimately he's just gonna throw it away. Just to throw it away. Just to throw it all away. He needs to do something to stop the bleeding, but I don't see what he's gonna do. Like, he needs a ton of spore crawlers, I guess, and maybe keep abducting units into the spores. The gas count is just not good for him. He's doing a bit of counterattack aggression. There's about 17 layers of static defense that he's gonna have to go through. Nidus Network coming up. Didn't we already have one? Yeah, he lost the previous one. Can't even send these units back home easily. I don't really know, though, why SOS is giving up on the pressure. Like, there's zero reason for him to give up on the pressure. I guess he doesn't really have to be too aggressive, but... he's having a good time, man. He's playing tower defense. So DRG is out of gas. This is his main issue right now. Like, he just cannot afford anything. So he's desperately trying to build these new bases up. These Zergling run-bys are nice and all, but ultimately he needs to address this army. Okay, those force fields, or sorry, those fungals are really good. That's about the best fight he could ever hope for with an army like this. He just swiped all of the High Templar out of this army. There's 4 of them remaining. Okay, there's like 1 still with this unit comp. There's 1. Doesn't even have energy for a storm, I don't think. That was the type of fight that we need to see from DRG about 7 times over before this game is going to start looking even. Baylings? Mate, if you think Baylings are the way to go right now, we are not looking at the same game. I think this is either a gigantic misread or a complete desperation play here from DRG. Because Baylings are never going to be cost efficient at this point in the game. Killing 12 probes here is maybe the best he's going to hope for. Okay, maybe 20 probes. But at this point, he doesn't care, man. I think actually SOS will say thank you very much and then replace those lost workers with more attacking units instead. Yeah, he's not even going to kill anything. All right. Yeah, okay. These Nidus Worms are also 75 gas each. DRG doesn't have that cash. Look at this! Oh my god, SOS! How many shield batteries do you want? Yes. I mean, it's minerals. He doesn't need... like, all of this goes minerals. Only minerals, no gas. He doesn't care about his minerals anymore. A zealot run by of like 20 units here would be similar. This is just him rubbing salt in the wound. DRG is max though. And SOS does not want to get overconfident here. Because this is still the type of army that can win fights. Man, this positioning over here is nuts. He's been trying to break this for like 10 minutes, but he's not even killed a single photon cannon, it feels like. In the meantime, DRG did drop down a little bit of supply once more. In StarCraft 2, by the way, there is no, like, hit chance loss when you're trying to hit the high ground. A lot of strategy games have that, where you're trying to attack from the low ground up to a high ground. You have a percentage to miss. That's not the case in StarCraft. Not in StarCraft 2, that is. Anyways, Foggle Growths are nice and all, but I think those storms are going to be even nicer. We do have what we call the Loco maneuver over here. Parasitic bombs, corruptors flying in, but that is not even remotely enough, Zerg. Brilliant game right here from SOS. Okay. Next up, we find ourselves on Pylon. Match point here for our Protoss player. He had a sneaky little probe patrolling back and forth over at the third base, but ultimately it is just going home. It'll be a Stargate build here once again. I'm assuming we're gonna go into a Void Ray. I feel like the Void Ray... Oh, no, okay, never mind. I don't know anything. What do I know? What do I know? Oracle first. Into a Void Ray then? I'm hoping SOS has like another build order like the ones that he's been playing so far. If he decides to play a straight up game again, like he did in the third game of this series, I don't give him the highest hopes, but maybe. Maybe. Spore Crawlers coming up for DRG. I'm pretty sure this is one of those rare circumstances where DRG is like, oracles. I'm so glad. Normally this is the type of Zerg builds, or Protoss builds rather, that Zerg players don't really love that much, but... Oh, I'm so glad it's a normal game. Not a Void Ray. Whew. I feel better already. And you can tell here that there's just not a lot of value coming out of these oracles off SOS. Like, he's just not achieving anything with it. He's gonna attempt like a stasis ward or something. I'm, yeah, predicting that DRG is gonna have one drone in stasis, and that's it. There we go. This is the kind of cheeky spot. There's apparently one location where... That's actually a really funny spot. Because those drones are already... oh, those Zerglings are already ready to surround it. Anyway. I don't really know if he's going to do like a normal follow-up. If he wants to go into Blink Stalkers again, he should put down a Forge. Last time we did this, his Forge was also late. If anything, honestly, this like early game Oracle harassment, it allows you to maybe like appreciate the amount of damage that, well, for example, MaxPax manages to generally deal, even against the absolute very best Zergs in the world. He seems to still be able to kill like 6, 7, 8, up to like a dozen workers every time. I don't think I've seen Oracles kill anything. Well, we've seen an Oracle group kill a hatchery. That was nice. But not generally why you make these units. This is good though. The zoning over here is way better, and there's actually not enough lings available. DRG not respecting this anymore. Stasis Ward now did go off inside of the main base too. Okay, we're wasting some energy. Decides to recall them out. There's Zerglings in the meantime on the other side of the map. That is why we decided to recall. Does he have energy available though? Yep, now he does. Energy recharge, pretty good. Probes decide to also turn their tasers to those Zerglings, and DRG just got cleaned up in a heartbeat. He did though, SOS, lose 6 probes in the process. For some reason, oh, that's why. We just don't have a unit on hold position at all. Okay. No quality assurance over here on the side of the Protoss. Interestingly enough, by the way, this map is called Pylon. And it's one of the few maps that does not have a pylon indicator. Thought it was kind of ironic. It's one of the new official tournament maps that has recently made it onto the StarCraft 2 ladder as well. We're going into charge now on the back of this though. So not charge, or not blink into charge. This is straight charge. Templar Archives. So probably Archon Zealot, if I were to make a guess. He's still putting in a lot of value, though. These Zealots are really strangely timed. What in the world are those Zealots doing here? My life for ire. That's all they're here for, and I guess it's working out. Yo, these Zealots are either a misplay or brilliant. I can't quite figure it out. Once more, we have no unit in the wall off, so once more Zerglings do run in. We could really just park a unit on hold position over there and then prevent this sort of thing from happening the first time around, but anyways. Despite having Lings in his natural expansion and his main base twice already, and besides attacking here with Zealots before Zealots upgrades are done, he's still putting in an awful lot of work. Do we go into a Mass Zealot attack now? Do we have a Prism? Do we have a Robo? Nope. Nope to everything. I guess he's warping in High Templar at home. We're gonna morph in Archons and then go across the map after donating some more Zealots on the other side. At this point, though, DRG will have picked up on the fact that there is charge and there is +1. +1 allows you to kill those Zerglings real quick. So he's gonna, he's gonna stop making Zerglings here and transition to Roaches instead. Really? This is how we're going to prevent a Zergling run by? Come on, man. Don't inspire the Diamond Protoss players watching this. Guys, just hotkey your units, please. Just don't use the all army hotkey, bro. Like, just... I know there's gonna be a Diamond League Protoss watching this. Like, interesting. Oh, you know what? Oh, yeah. No, I never need to hotkey my units. See, you do. You need to, man. Or maybe just position it slightly further back. If you position it slightly further back... In the meantime, Stasis Wards are destroying everything on the other side of the map, or at least allowing the Protoss army to destroy the other half of the units that is still left over. Third time around that Zerglings run into the base. I think DRG is playing this game at a heart rate of about 160. Like, this man, the way he's controlling his Zerg, it feels like he's been in panic mode ever since the first oracles flew in. He looked quite calm with the bit of the stasis ward micro inside of the main base. That looked pretty calm, but oh, really? Okay, I think I was onto something. DRG, he had enough. He did not really get anything going so far in this game, and I don't think it really was. I don't think it really was game over just yet. But he decides to tap out. He is certainly behind, though. Like, he's behind in upgrades, he's behind in economy, he's behind in expansion. He's behind in pretty much every pillar of the game, but it is certainly not a game that he needed to tap out from just yet, but I guess he does not like the style that SOS is going for. Well, I personally love it. I hope you did too. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.